Hi, my name is John Murphy. Today I'm going to show you can go from feeling stressed out and afraid of conflict to being confident and skillful when you're dealing with conflict as an engineer. I'm going to show you can go from feeling burned out to relaxed and confident, from backing down when there's a conflict to skillful persuasion, and from feeling small, like your contribution isn't being recognized, to standing out as a leader in your work. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Then we'll talk about managing stress, building self-confidence, resolving conflicts. I'll tell you about my system to help you develop all of these skills. And you'll have an option to have a free month of group coaching, as well as a free one-on-one strategy session with me. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name's John Murphy. I've been coaching for over 7 years. I've coached hundreds of people, and I've helped many engineers develop the skills that they need to deal with stress and conflict more effectively. I'm a social and emotional intelligence certified coach. I'm also certified by the International Coach Federation, the Coaches Training Institute, which is the largest and oldest coach training program in the world. My background is in structural engineering. I was a structural engineer for 6 years, and I'm a licensed professional engineer in civil engineering. I started out in my engineering career sitting in my cubicle doing calculations all day, but I was shy, I was quiet, I was afraid to speak up, and my desk was in between these two people that just hated each other. When one person would leave, the other one would say to me, "You see his work? You see how terrible his work is?" And then he'd come back in and there'd be silence. And then this person would go off and talk to the secretary and say, "I can't believe I have to work with this person. I hate working with this person." And he'd come back in and there'd be silence. It went on like this for over a year. I felt stressed out all the time. I felt like I was in the middle of a war zone. And I wanted to make a difference and show leadership, but I just didn't know how. One day I got fed up with waiting for things to change, and I decided to make a change. And I signed up for my first leadership training. I was really nervous, and I didn't know what to expect. These things can sometimes be a little cheesy. But one thing that I learned right away that was really valuable was how we sometimes put ourselves into boxes, and we limit our own potential. I learned I'd put myself in a box with my title as an engineer. I believed all the stereotypes about engineers being shy, quiet, just do calculations, stay in the background. And I believed all these things about myself. I can really clearly remember standing there in the leadership seminar and saying to the course leader, "I'm quiet because I'm an engineer. I'm quiet because I'm an engineer." It's that because that you need to be careful of. That because is where you're limiting your potential based on your title, based on your past, based on what people think of you or some external circumstance. And if you're looking really carefully, you can usually find evidence that contradicts a lot of these because statements. And one piece of evidence that I noticed right away was one of the most outspoken and charismatic people in this leadership seminar was an engineer. Realizing this was really empowering. It helped me start to question all my assumptions about engineers in general and my judgments about myself. And once I had broken out of this box that I've been putting myself in, I was able to take new actions I'd never taken before. One of the first things I did is I stood up one day and I said to both people sitting next to me, "I'd like to request a meeting. I'd like to request a meeting." It took a huge amount of courage for me to speak those words. I called the meeting. They started to talk and express their opinions. It was the first time they talked to each other in months. And it didn't work out perfectly, but I'd taken some bold action for maybe the first time in my life. And from that day forward, I've dedicated myself to improving the work environment for engineers and helping them overcome their own personal obstacles. Now I'm going to tell you about my system. There are 3 main parts to this system. I like to use the metaphor of a building. There's the foundation, where you build a strong foundation of internal strength. Then there's reinforcement for that foundation. It's about reinforcing your ability to handle stress, build your resilience. And then finally, there's a connected framework, which is about building a connected framework with all the people in your team, your office, and in your life. First off, there's that foundation. Again, this is about building a strong foundation of internal strength. When you do this, you'll be able to stand your ground when people disagree with you. You'll understand your values, where you will and will not compromise, and you'll be more effective because you have a clear idea of what outcome you want to produce. If you don't do this, you may be swayed easily by the opinions of other people. You may make bad decisions because you don't have a clear idea of what your values are, or you may just waste your time doing things that are not important because you don't have a clear idea of what outcome you want to produce. The actions you need to take for this are to clear your self-critical thoughts, identify your strengths, build a vision of where you want to go and who you want to be, develop a strategy to get there, and then take action with accountability. Next, there's the reinforcement. Again, this is about reinforcing your ability to handle stress. The main tool that I use for this are mindfulness techniques. Mindfulness techniques have been scientifically proven to reduce stress, improve visual and spatial processing, working memory, executive functioning, and also reduce the amount that the brain becomes distracted. The steps you need to take for this are to use mindfulness techniques, develop self-compassion, and restore your energy with rest and play. Finally, there's the connected framework. This is about building a connected framework with all the people in your team and in your life. When you do this, conflicts resolve themselves much more easily. There will be a level of trust and respect between you and the other people in your office. If you don't do this, when things go wrong, people may assume the worst. They may assume that you're in it for yourself or fight against you and undermine your objectives. The actions you need to take for this are to study leadership principles, manage your own ego, listen and understand others, communicate effectively, and use conflict resolution techniques. So again, the three parts of this system are the foundation, building a strong foundation of internal strength, reinforcing that foundation, building your resilience, then building a connected framework with all the people in your life. I offer training and coaching to help you develop all the skills in this system. If you'd like to find out more, you can try a free month of group coaching as well as a free one-on-one strategy session with me. If you'd like to try it out, you can click the link below that says book now, and we can get started right away.